Now, one of the more simple but definite examples of this is the study of dispositional and character attitudes. The average person wants to have a sphere of influence. He wants some sense of importance. He wants to have leadership of some kind in something. He is very desirous of preparing some type of background to become a significant person. Now, this is a situation that can very often become deeply involved in psychic phenomena. The individual, for example, is not content with his job. He feels that he could do something bigger and better, and most people feel this to a measure at least, that they are restricted and limited by circumstances and that their true worth is not appreciated. This can appear in business, in family, in relationships of parents and children. But many persons have a distinct feeling that they should be doing more than they are doing, in the sense of gaining a distinction of some kind. Now, there are two ways of approaching this particular problem. Those who are very practical in their thinking and are not too heavily loaded psychically with pressures decide, well, there's a great future for a computerization, therefore I'm going to take a course in it. I'm going to study it. I'm going to find ways of advancing my career. Other people, however, with a little different type of mind and maybe not quite as much true basic ambition, would like to gain this superior relationship with life without any serious effort on their own part. So they philosophize along the idea that they have a right to be anything they want to be without really earning this advancement. They want to get it in some other way. So some try to get it through prayer, others through concentration and meditation, and still others through contact with mystics and psychics who are going to be able to give them some kind of a philosophy of personal superiority. We have this all the time. Most of the people who are having psychic disturbances at the present time have in some way involved themselves in the social problems of the hour and feel that they have been curiously and wonderfully appointed to become one of the great solving factors in human problems, that they are the ones who are going to be the future leaders of a spiritualized world. Well, we have a great many of these folks come along, and I have watched their progress over probably, well, over half a century now. And I have not yet found any instance in which a psychic promise that an individual is going to have some type of illumination that is meaningful, useful, practical, serviceable. I've never yet seen a case where this was fulfilled. It continues to drift and drag. The individual very often gives up that which is reasonable and practical in a strange search for that which can never and has never been earned or properly deserved. I believe in the law of cause and effect. The individual who wishes to become a powerful, constructive factor in society has to cause this through the development and improvement of his own nature. It cannot be conferred upon him by some mysterious force or power which he does not even understand. He is not going to get answers that are important to questions which he does not understand. We have so many times people come and say, I have these symbolisms, I feel that they are very important, but what do they mean? It is almost impossible to answer this question, for the reason that these symbols go back into the life of a person. These symbols do not descend from some level of cosmic alphabet. They come from the life of that person. They are bound directly to the background of perhaps a half-century of individual living, with its reverses, with its frustrations, and with its insecurities. Now we are having a very serious situation developing in the world. And that situation deals with the actual future of humanity under the pressure of a nuclear armament. The problem of the future of humanity is to most people very serious and very disturbing. So in this particular instance, this type of thing, there is a desperate searching for some kind of assurance, some type of reality, or at least some way by which this present trend can be averted. Those who are unable to feel any particular solutional power or do not know what actually must be done have a great desire to try to understand themselves better. They want to know what happens to the human being if the worst happens in the material world. What is going to happen to a person here who suddenly is cast into another dimension of existence by nuclear warfare? Where is he going? Is he going to survive? Does he exist? What is the future of the individual who is faced with some form of physical annihilation? This question, of course, has been asked not only from the standpoint of war, but from the standpoint of daily existence. Everyone who comes into this world is faced with the problem of leaving it. And to leave the world is a serious issue if the person is lacking in internal strength. If he is lacking in philosophic understanding, if he is lacking in religious faith, if he is lacking in deep integrities concerning the divine plan of things, if all these are immaturely developed within himself, he is in a panic. He does not know what to do. He does not know how to face into problems. Therefore, his first thought would be to try to demonstrate survival after death. And what the nature of this survival is takes him into the field of psychic phenomena. Another person with a little different sort of background, looking back over life, realizes that from lack of understanding, he has been limited all his life, that most of the plans and dreams and hopes and aspirations that were important to him were never fulfilled because of weaknesses of his own character. Under such conditions, as he grows older, he is apt to decide the importance of some form of religious communion. Young people today are not inclined to be theologically minded, but older people are consistently concerned with the future of their own existence. To have this securely indicated for them means that they must have a solid foundation in some religious or philosophical system. Actually, all of this type of thinking is founded in a certain kind of faith. The individual has to believe, and in believing has to find his security from belief, from the integrity of his own consciousness. Under such circumstances, he is apt to go to other people to try to find out more about these things. And there are groups all over the country and all over the world who are attempting in one way or another to create confidence that the individual has a survival factor built into his nature, that he is bound to survive, that he is going to go on to other worlds and other dimensions of life. If he believes in reincarnation, he believes that he will be re-embodied here in the due course of time, that basically he is indestructible. And if he is indestructible, then through philosophy and insight, he can gain a great deal of confidence. Now, systems that teach people to accept the power and virtue of universal law and can help the individual to realize that the power that fashioned him did not fashion him to destroy him, but rather fashioned him as part of a vast plan of unfolding life in nature. On a level of philosophy, individuals can gain a great deal of comfort. they can also gain it on the level of religion, in which it seems to millions of people that their future is in the keeping of a principle of divine good, and that all things that happen in this world are part of a plan for the final salvation and perfection of all that lives. With these kind of inducements, the individual can gradually develop a working philosophy of life. But very often this is complicated today by the introduction of a whole group of extraneous elements which may or may not contribute to this major purpose. There are a great many people who honestly believe, apparently, that while there is a divine plan, it is possible for the individual to change that plan without actually improving himself. That there are ways, there are tricks, there's a magic, there is some kind of a strange esoteric method by which the individual can become wise without earning wisdom, can become good by a formula, can be enlightened or strengthened by some type of sentimental or platitudinous statement. This actually works against the person, because he goes on with these statements, he applies them to every aspect of his life, and in the end he is in the same condition as everyone else. These things do not change the course of his actual career. The only way that the person can get out of a weakness is to become strong, and there's no way to become strong except to earn it. The individual who wishes to be better than he is must live better than he does now. And there is no possibility of some kind of a magical intercession by which he can keep his vices and perfect his virtues at the same time. He simply cannot do it. And to most people, the present trend in the psychic phenomena is to use it as a substitute for integrity, or to assume that by the practice of certain disciplines, the individual can outgrow his own ignorance and become vicariously wise. We have very little evidence that this has ever been accomplished, and I think the average person should not bear too much upon this, because it is not strong enough to support him. I know people today who not only are seeking help from various psychic sources, but some of them have 4, 5, or 6 sources at the same time. They are going to everybody whom they think can give them an answer to their problem. The answers they get are in conflict, one in one direction, one in another. The prophecies that are made by these under these circumstances are frequently not fulfilled. And the individual, having not received what he believes he was going to receive, still goes on hoping, doing the same thing again and again. This is really a detriment. A sincere desire, even though there may be certain weaknesses or mistakes in it, has much to recommend it. But a person who simply does not recognize when things are not right keeps on stubbornly maintaining something that will not happen. This type of thing is difficult and not good for the average person. Now, all kinds of various specialties have developed in this field. Some of them go way back, thousands of years. Others are more recent in their ingenuities, but all of them seemingly have approximately the same basic elements. Man has always hoped for the miracle. He has always had believed in a kind of magic, and it is very possible to convince him that by some mysterious means he can gain mastery over other people, dominate the community in which he lives, and perhaps most of all, accumulate wealth without earning it. These are